Hi guys! So I thought I would put together this video for you. I think I'd said it in a couple previous ones of some of the things that I had got for my birthday. That's the word. So I'm going to show you these three. The collage medium, distress collage mediums in matte, crazing and vintage. And you'll see that like the vintage looks very dark. This is kind of like, I want to say they're kind of like marshmallowy sort of textures. They all have different textures, so it's quite unusual to work with, but very, very cool. So what I did was I stamped, oh, let me just get the stamp. I stamped using a Tim Holtz Random Gatherings. My mum found this years and years and years ago, and it's obviously well loved, and it's just a little, I suppose, ATC card size stamp, and I just stamped that with archival jet black ink onto some just normal cardstock. This I think is just Craft UK 300 GSM ish, so I just wanted to play around with this, see what happens. That's what I'm doing. So with this one, this is the matte collage medium, and with this one you'll see that it just dries. It's just a thin coat. I did a thin coat for all of them. It just dries completely matte. I mean, there's an ever so slight sheen maybe, but it's not even, it's barely there. Oh, sorry. It's barely there. So do you see there's a slight sheen there, but it's not anything too in your face. Then the crazing, and I know you can't see anything at the moment, especially with this one, and I don't know, I can see it in real life, but I don't know if you're going to pick any of this up, but there is slight crazing, and from what Tim was saying is that the crazing actually is kind of like a crackle, but not. It happens underneath the medium. So this is smooth, there's no texture to it, but there's crackle, or like a crazing, which I guess is why they call it crazing, not crackle, because there is a crackle which I will bring in another video. But so there's that, and then the vintage is just like makes everything look vintagey. So again, it's got a smooth texture. You can see the swipe marks of the brush depending on the brush you're using, or how you're applying it. I suppose you could use a sponge and see what happens there, but this is, it's very smooth. There's a slight sheen again, but it just makes it look nice and vintage. So what I also wanted to do, and especially with the crazing, is I'm going to use brush corduroy, my new favourite brown, and I'm going to ink just with an ink like foam blending applicator and tool thing, whatever it's called. And I'm just going to use ink, but bear in mind you can use, and the same goes with like the texture paste and stuff like that, you can use things like your distress paint, your distress crayons, your distress spray stains. Obviously they will give a more well, depending on the product, it'll give a different vibrancy of colour, but I'm going to just use this just to show you, because I think most people probably have the distress inks. I haven't tried this yet, and I haven't tried any oxides either. Excuse me. So I'm going to start with the matte. I'm just going to, well, in fact I'll pop them there. So with the matte one, let me just get my little, this, by the way, if you've seen it, this funny little thing, it's one of those non-slip things for drawers, you know, like in your kitchen and stuff. I actually saw Tim use it on one of his videos, and I thought that's genius, and I have a fair bit of this stuff in my drawers and stuff, and I had a load that I wasn't using, so I just cut a square. It's about 3.5 inch square, and that way you can put it down on your mat, and your ink pad, not just these ones, but any of your ink pads, this just holds it, especially if you're trying to ink blend. So I'm just going to grab some ink. In fact, I'm going to move that off, and I'm just going to apply this like normal, like I normally would, I should say. And what I will also do is I'll take a paper towel and I'm going to rub off the top, and I want to show you what it will do. Again, I've not done this yet, so we're doing this together. I'm going to grab a paper towel, good old-fashioned paper towel, and I'm just going to rub off the top. You could let it air dry and all that jazz, but I just wanted to see what would happen if I then took it off. So there is ink on there. So this is the matte collage medium. It has, even with that, well, you can see around the edges, it's the paper that doesn't have any collage medium has taken the ink like it would normally. But even where the collage medium is, it's tinted that colour. So if you compare, I know this has got crazing on it, but if you compare how white that was before the brushed corduroy that I put on this, so you can still get, even if you just have your matte collage medium, you can still get a sort of vintage vibe depending on the colour of ink that you use. Very cool. So now we're going to do the crazing, and I'm gonna leave the crazing one. For me is probably going to be the best result, although I'm really impressed with that. So I'm going to now do the vintage one, because I don't know what this is going to do. I don't know what any of them are going to do, but again, I'm just going to go around the edge and just get some ink on there. Again, I'm going to go over the whole thing. Don't need to, because this is the vintage thing anyway, so you don't really need to do that. And take paper towel again, and I'm just going to rub over the top. Again, you don't need to do this either. You could probably let it air dry and you'd get the same thing. So more ink on there. And then there's the vintage. So obviously with the vintage cover, you're not going to get too much difference in your colour there. If you used a completely different colour, like not a brown tone, I don't know what will happen. You'd have to experiment. But again, you can see where there's no collage medium, it's taken on the colour, you know, the colours on the raw cardstock, if you like. So that's that one. So now this I'm excited about, because honestly you can barely see it. You have to tilt this in a certain way in the light to see the crazing. So let's see what happens. So again, just inking as normal. I'm not doing anything different. I'm not, you know, same way we've done all of them. And the edges. And then I'm just going to come in the middle as well, like that. And I'll show you before, and then I will rub it off as well. So before, you can see the crazing kind of comes out a little bit. Obviously the thicker you put this on as well, the more colour will actually, the more it will crackle, I guess. But yeah. And then there you go. So hopefully you guys can see this. This is very cool. I mean, this is I put a thin layer on, so this is very, very subtle. But hopefully you'll be able to see that texture, especially over here. That's where I felt like I could see the most texture. So again, if I had done a thicker layer of it, you would see it better. But I think it's quite cool. So these pieces I will just keep as like examples for myself, so I remember. And then I'll also probably on the back just write what I did here, which paste it is, and then also write down that I can use things like distressed paint, crayon, the spray stains to get different effects. So let me just clear this bit. I've got ink on my desk. So that's the 3 distress. Let's try and hold this up like a normal person. There's 3 distress collage mediums. So this is the collage medium itself in matte, this is in crazing, and this is the vintage. But I used brushed corduroy, just to say that again in case you're coming into this later on. Very cool. And none of them, even this plain well, I say plain, but the matte Collage medium, none of them are this colour anymore, and they were to start with, which you could see. Very cool product. And also don't forget the Collage medium and matte you can use as a glue, as an adhesive, so you can glue you know, any mediums together. So you can glue, if you're into mixed media, you can glue metal to wood, wood to metal. Oh, that's just the same thing. Hello. You can glue rubber to wood, you can, you know, all sorts of things. So just try as you go, but I was chuffed with that. And this is, I did this with you guys, so yay. So I will be back with a the texture paste and then the grit paste as well. I think I'll make them my videos this week, so I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye.